Hi, I'm Maryjo with Fourth Dimension Healing in Stillwater, Minnesota, and I'm also the director of the Center for Crystal and Healing Studies, which is my online school. And through my school, I offer a variety of courses in energy healing and Reiki, as well as crystal healing. And my courses are blended, which means there's self-paced coursework that you participate in at your own schedule, as well as points when you and I connect together individually for one-on-one mentoring. So take a look at the links below and see if there's anything that might interest you. Today I want to talk with you about an amazing crystal that is very prevalent. Most of the people I work with and encounter are familiar with it, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you are too. And that crystal today that we're going to talk a bit about is amethyst. So this is a piece of amethyst that I have in my healing practice, and I work with this piece so that it can help support the energy flow and the properties and distribute those properties into the healing space. Amethyst is one of the 5 members of the quartz family, and that quartz is made of silicon dioxide, various minerals included with those molecules of silicon dioxide are going to influence its colorings, and some of the other minerals that show up might cause a piece of amethyst to be, in this case, fairly purple. It could be that you have a very pale, almost lilac pink piece of amethyst, or a very, very, very deep violet piece. All of that is affected by the additional minerals in the crystal, and those are often going to be more prevalent in particular parts of the world. Silicon dioxide, or quartz, and amethyst, again, one of the members of the quartz family, has a hardness of about 7 on the Mohs hardness scale. It has a hexagonal structure, which means that as those molecules are creating and forming this particular crystal, that there is a recurring pattern. Because it has a hexagonal structure, I find it really interesting and helpful to work with when I'm working with crystal grids, where I can pull in those 6-factored geometries that also can be created when you're working with grids. And I have videos about grids if you're curious about them, so you can explore those a little further too. Sometimes we're going to find amethyst is almost like a group of very small points. And I'm going to show you that larger point again. If you can shrink that down and imagine that this whole piece consists of many, many, many tiny little points, this would be an example. I really love this one because it really is all the way around. There's just this tiniest little point here of matrix, but otherwise it's pretty much all amethyst. Sometimes amethyst is going to be rough and raw. It's not going to have that visible termination or point, yet it still is in there. This is another piece that I work with in my space. So when we're working with amethyst, amethyst is a stone that really resonates way up high in the chakras. It resonates with wind element energy, which means it is about inspiration and clarity and kind of that dropping down of those spiritual insights and guidance and messages down into our consciousness so that we can actually express them and work with them and live into those higher knowings in our day-to-day life. I want to show you a few examples of how amethyst can present itself as a healing tool, and also show you an example of a few pieces that are representative of what I have in my shop. First of all, you might find a very small little piece of tumbled amethyst. Here's a larger piece of tumbled amethyst. Again, amethyst is pretty tough, so it can handle being inside a rock tumbler. Small pieces like this, again, work really great for working with crystal grids or laying a number of them on or around your body. Some of these larger pieces are going to be more likely held in your hand, perhaps during prayer or meditation or during a healing. Sometimes amethyst you're going to find shaped. Here's an example of a small little, let me hold it so it doesn't drop. a small little heart-shaped piece of amethyst. And when we're working with shaped stones, the shape is also going to influence how those energies are radiated outward. And so if we're working with a piece of amethyst that's shaped like a heart, then we're going to be able to bring that compassion into that process as well. I often will work with unpolished or naturally occurring shapes, and I want to show you a few examples of some of the points that I work with. It might be a small little point here. Again, really nice to work with if you're working with a group of these in a grid. Here's a little bit larger point. And when we're working with the points, this is the directional flow, that direction towards the point. So if I want to direct healing energy away from something, like let's say I have a sore wrist and I want to place this around that wrist with the intention and healing of releasing that tension out of that wrist, I'm going to point it that way. If I want to point it towards me, that's going to draw in those properties a bit more. Here's another example of naturally occurring point. There's also, here's a little bit larger piece that you can see more clearly that directional flow of energy. And this is a piece that could be worked with as being held in your hand. It could be that you're going to place it as a display piece or as part of a meditation practice. Also, as I had shown you this piece with the small little clusters, these little clusters are just lovely. You can see the back side, which would have been, if you have ever seen a geode and the rock and the hammer, sometimes kids like that to be able to open up and crack open the geode and see what they've got. Gives you an idea of what is on the inside. One of the things I sometimes will do, I'm just going to grab a little stone right here. Here, I'll take this is a very tiny piece of elite shungite. If you've heard me talk about elite shungite, you can know that it's friable and sometimes little pieces pop off. One of the things I like doing in my practice is taking little clusters of quartz, and in this case working with amethyst, and setting other stones on them to help them cleanse energetically, to be able to reset energetically from working with healing purposes. Here's another example. Here's a little piece of blue lace agate. And again, simply setting the blue lace agate on there and allowing it to sit maybe for a day can be a really wonderful way to help the stone actually cleanse itself. So that's simply a little bit about amethyst. Amethyst is a highly spiritual stone. It helps us connect with our spiritual nature and bring it down into our conscious awareness. So however you find that you're working with amethyst, big, small pieces, maybe a really large piece, or maybe a very small piece, you will find that amethyst is extremely helpful for bringing you the spiritual connections, the mental clearing, and drawing in the clarity and insight that awaits you. So reach out if you have questions. You can visit my online shop and learn more about amethyst and see what I have available. And feel free to send me an email or a chat through my website if you have questions. For now, I simply wish you many blessings. Be well.